Well, hello, Derbycon. Good afternoon. The title of my talk for you today is CyberSecurity Alphabets. The schedule for my talk today is I'm going to introduce myself, then I'm going to talk about CyberSecurity Alphabets, my main idea, then I will do a short demonstration, and finally I will conclude with some closing thoughts. Who am I? My name is Reuben Paul, but my friends call me Rapstar. My personal Twitter handle is @Rapstar that you can use to tweet about this talk. I am 9 years old and I attend the Harmony School of Science. My journey into the world of cybersecurity began at my debut talk at Derbycon last year, when I was 8 years old. I talked on InfoSec from the Mouth of Babes, and then my travels have taken me to IC Square Security Congress. Then I went to HUSECCon. Then I went to where I got my first standing ovation. Then I went to Ground Zero InfoSec Summit, where I spoke on Rootkits, the future of cybersecurity. Then I went to B-Sides Austin, Cybersecurity NG, where I spoke on cybersecurity, the new generation. Then I was unveiled from a server box as the real next generation of cybersecurity in RSA, where I can really say I was a hacker in a box in the Hack in the Box conference. And I just want to say I really appreciate Derbycon for, thanks to Dave Kennedy and team, for giving me my very first opportunity to speak in a conference. So, thanks Derbycon. We all love Derbycon because you make us feel loved and accepted in the hacker family. So, here are some other fun facts about me. When I was 2 years old, I was crowned America's most beautiful baby. When I was 7 years old, I earned the title of being America's youngest Shaolin Do Kung Fu black belt. In 2014 and 15, I was the disco contest winner for the digital storytelling contest, the Kung Fu Kid. Who recognizes the statue on the back? Who recognizes the kid in the front? No, that's Bruce Lee in the making. And truly, I have miles to go before I sleep. These are video biographies. Please check them out if you have any time. I was the USA Gymnastics state champion for the rings. Now to my main topic, cybersecurity alphabets. What are alphabets? Alphabets are basic building blocks that kids use as their foundation to make words. Okay, on the count of 3, we're going to say, "You're welcome," okay? 3, 2, 1. You're welcome! Okay. Continuing on my talk. So, alphabets are basic building blocks that kids use as their foundation. And to kick off my talk, we're going to go to ARP spoofing. ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol. The ARP will map the IP address to the MAC address so that the router can accept and send the communication to the correct device on the network. ARP spoofing is when the hacker will spoof the IP table's information to change the IP address to point to his MAC address so that he can intercept all the requests and responses or communications from different devices on the network. A simple way to understand this is by using a simple mailbox example. All the mailboxes of my neighborhood are located in one common area. And inside my mailbox is our family's name with our home address. So my home address is 1337, and my friend's Bobby's home address is 1057. So if I wanted to get Bobby's home address, I would need to find a way to change Bobby's home address. I would need to find a way to change Bobby's home address to point to my name and change his name to point to my address, which is basically what ARP spoofing does. B is for buffer overflow. A buffer overflow is an attack in which the hacker inputs more data than what the memory buffer can hold. If the code does not check how long the input is before copying it to the memory buffer, then the return address of the instruction pointer will get overridden and the hacker can point it to his malicious code. A simple way to understand this is by using the example of a birthday party. I've invited some of my friends to a birthday party and gave them my house address. A bad guy comes and puts a sign over my house address saying that the party has moved to his house. So when my friends go to his house, they get robbed. C is for cross-site request forgery. The best way to explain cross-site request forgery is a user logs into his bank account. He gets a session established. He gets an email with a link on it. He clicks on the link and he realizes that money from his bank account gets stolen. So how did this happen? The hacker maliciously crafted the link to transfer money from his bank account by using the previously established session. A simple way to understand this is, let's say you're invited to a birthday party in a candy shop. You present your invitation to the security guard to get into the candy shop. The security guard gives you an entry pass. Another kid comes in and he wants candy too, but he does not have an entry ticket or an invitation. So he tricks the other kid with the entry pass to go in and get candy for him. Yay, it's time to party. Now, so how did this happen in this? The security guard was not checking to see if the entry pass was already used before. D is for denial of service. A denial of service is an attack in which the hacker makes a system or data unavailable to someone who needs it. A hacker can create a DOS or a DDoS by closing a port, overloading a website by reloading it too many times, or even do a document.location.href to some other site. Here's a funny way to understand denial of service. Thor put his hammer on the toilet and Spider-Man is denied the service. Thanks to Khalil for sharing this picture. So E is for exploit frameworks. An exploit framework So E is for exploit frameworks. A simple way to understand this is, when I go to my Shaolin Do Kung Fu class, I carry some of my weapons like the bow staff, nunchucks, sai, and sword in a Kung Fu bag. So, exploit frameworks is kind of like this. It's basically a tool bag with lots of cyber tools in it. Yeah. It's basically a tool bag with lots of cyber tools in it, to test if a system is exploitable or not. A hacker, just as any of these tools can be used for good or bad purposes, just as any of the weapons can be used for good or bad purposes, these cyber tools can be used for good or bad purposes. Good purposes like pen testing, or bad purposes like unethical hacking. Here are some of the well-known exploit frameworks. The Browser Exploitation Framework, or BEEF, the Metasploit Framework, or MSF, the Social Engineer Toolkit, or SE Toolkit. Ring a bell? The SE Toolkit, the OS Xenotix Framework, Armitage, and the Pentesters Framework. Ring a bell? Okay. F is for fuzzing. Fuzzing is a security testing method to test if a system is exploitable or not by injecting random or pseudo-random inputs. A real-world example of this is allergen testing. If you're allergic to something and you don't know what, the doctor will inject different types of allergens randomly or pseudo-randomly to see which one you test positive to. G is for GPU attacks. A GPU attack, inside a computer, there's a graphics card that is responsible for processing and displaying images, text, and videos on a screen. The GPU, the GPU has dedicated memory as well as a chip that is called the GPU, or Graphics Processing Unit. When the GPU is put to do an attack, it is known as a GPU attack. GPU attacks are mainly used for password cracking attacks. But why would somebody use the GPU to do an attack? The main reason is because it has more cores for processing than the CPU, so it is much faster. The pirate tool is found to be much faster than Hashcat. So, a simple way to understand this is by using some superhero examples. We all know that Superman is not only strong, but also fast. But if you take Flash, he is super fast. Superman is like the CPU, and Flash is like the GPU. Hash is for hashing. Hashing is a security concept in which you input an input into an algorithm which converts it into a fixed size output of numbers and letters. Otherwise known as a hash. It is similar to encryption, except that you can never get the original value back. A good example of this is a strawberry smoothie. Your strawberries are like the input. The algorithm is like the blender, and your smoothie is like the hash. You can never get the original strawberries back from the smoothie. It's a smoothie. I is for injection attacks. An injection attack is an attack in which the backend database accepts what the user supplies without any validation and treats it as a command. Proteins are good for you if it is handled in the right amount and concentration. But if the amount and concentration is over what it can handle, then we have a problem. Have you ever wondered what the main ingredient in snake venom is? It is highly concentrated proteins. So, when a snake bites you, it injects its venom into your body, and the body treats it as a command to shut down, which can include some serious damage or death. So, J is for Java Applet attack. A Java Applet attack is an attack in which the hacker creates a malicious Java applet and tricks the user into running it by some social engineering means. Once the applet is run, the hacker has full-time run permissions and can completely exploit the system. So, a simple way to understand this is, if a bad kid comes and he uses a fake ID of a real kid to get into the video game arcade to have all the fun. The bad kid is like the malicious Java applet attack, the real kid is like a real applet, and the ID is like the certificate. K is for keylogging. Keylogging is a disclosure attack in which the keystrokes of the target user is scanned and dumped so that the hacker can see what the user typed. A simple way to understand this is, kids talk a lot when they're in school next to their lockers. A kid who wanted to find out about what somebody was talking about could hide inside a locker and listen in. A logic bomb is a piece of malicious code or malcode or malicious logic or mallogic that runs when a certain time or condition is met. A simple way to understand this is by using the example of a cuckoo bird. A cuckoo bird lays its eggs in another bird's nest because it is too lazy to make its own nest. So, when the cuckoo bird hatches, it throws all the other eggs off the nest and takes over the nest. M is for man in the middle. A man in the middle impersonates a gateway or router and tells him that he's the client, and at the same time tells the client that he is the gateway or router. So all the communication goes through the hacker. In this picture, you see that there's a monkey in the middle trying to get the ball, like the game Monkey in the Middle, and the monkey is like the hacker monkeying around. N is for non-repudiation. To repudiate means to deny something, but non-repudiation means that you can't deny it at all. So let's say your system got hacked and the system logged and recorded all the interactions and transactions between So when an auditor comes to see the logs, a hacker can't deny their actions. How many of you all have seen the movie The Incredibles? What are you guys doing watching kids' movies? In the movie, there's a kid named Dash. He has the power of super speed. So he is called to the principal's office because his teacher accuses him of putting tax on the teacher's chair. At first, Dash tries to repudiate his actions, but the teacher hides a video camera and catches Dash doing his mischief, so now for non-repudiation, so now Dash cannot deny his actions. O is for obfuscation. Obfuscation is a defensive technique in which the defenders usually scramble their code and data so that it'll be hard for a hacker to reverse engineer and find out what the code and data does. But hackers over the years have found out that by scrambling their code and data, they can evade anti-malware detection. A simple way to understand this is by using the example of eggs and bacon. If somebody is allergic to bacon, which nobody should be, then when it is served as eggs, when it's served as strips with eggs, it'll be easier for somebody to pick out. But if the bacon is chopped up into pieces and obfuscated with the egg, then it'll be hard for somebody to pick out, and it'll most likely go in undetected. P is for phishing. Phishing is to lure, bait, and trick someone into revealing personal information about themselves. It is a part of social engineering. How many of you all have seen the movie Finding Nemo? No, it's a kids' movie, right? Fishing. In the movie, there's an anglerfish who uses its lure to bait and trick other fish and capture them. Q is for quarries. Quarries is otherwise known as targets, and I'm not talking about the hacked retail store in the U.S., but companies, countries. Today's quarries are not only companies, countries, and children. No, companies, countries, but even worse, children. So that is why it's important to be cyber educated and be cyber brave against cyberbullying and cyber coercion and cyber dangers. How many of you all know what this movie is from? What? Why are you guys watching kids' movies? Come on. Man, you guys are on a roll. In the movie, there's an expert archer who tries not to miss any target, just as a hacker will go after his or her targets. R is for rootkit. R is for Reuben, Rapstar. We're going to talk about rootkits. So what is a rootkit? A rootkit is a computer program, or programs, that allows remote control of a system that is installed on by mutating and masking itself in the operating system. Rootkits can be used for good or bad purposes. Mostly it is used for bad purposes, like spying on people, but it can be used for good purposes, like providing tech support. In this picture, I will give the example of Jurassic World. The creators of the Indominus Rex rootkit fused the T-Rex operating system with other various genetic programs like the snake, cuttlefish, and velociraptor. S is for spyware. Spyware is basically software that spies on people and their information. When I think of software, I think of a wolf in sheep's clothing. Be aware and beware of spyware. T is for Tor. Tor is otherwise known as the onion router, which protects from network traffic surveillance and lets you browse anonymously by keeping your location hidden. An application of Tor for kids could be, it allows them to browse anonymously without revealing their location, so it'll be hard for somebody to track them. In this picture, you see Batman advising Robin to stop checking in, so the location of Batcave is hidden. Or at least use Tor. U is for UDP Flood Attack. Now, before I talk to you about a UDP Flood Attack, I cannot guarantee that you'll get it. Get it? A UDP Flood Attack is a denial of service attack where the hacker puts a lot of UDP packets into the network so that the network is congested. An example of this is a traffic jam where in a traffic jam, there's a traffic jam is kind of like a UDP flood attack because the UDP flood attack congests the network like the traffic jam kind of congests the street. V is for virus. A virus is a piece of malware or malicious code, piece of malware that attaches itself to a host and is harmful. A good example of this is from Venom from the Spider-Man series. Venom is a living parasite that has to attach itself to a system or host for it to survive and do damage. Worm is malware that spreads and infects a network or the systems in the network and is harmful. It steals information, it can install backdoors, and it can delete files. This affects all three pillars of information security: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. A worm is a worm is a worm, so I didn't have very much examples for that. X is for cross-site scripting, or XSS. Cross-site scripting is when you inject code into a input field and the browser executes it as a script. A good example of this is an oyster and a pearl. When a foreign body enters the oyster shell, it causes some serious harm to the oyster, which can lead to infection, disease, or death for the oyster. So, what the oyster does is it coats the harmful body with a calcium carbonate substance called nacre, and out of it comes a harmless pearl. The application is like your oyster, the foreign body is like your script that you inject, and the harmless pearl or nacre is like your encoding. Y is for you. People are the weakest link. It's easier to hack people than it is to hack systems because they implicitly trust others without any validation. In this picture you see my little brother Itai, who I love dearly, saying, "Cybersecurity needs you." Z is for zero-day vulnerability. A zero-day vulnerability is otherwise known as O-day or negative day, and the defenders are usually unaware of what the problem in the system is, and the attackers have the advantage. Usually, it is launched on the day that the software comes out. My dad and mom taught me that the power of zero. Zero itself has no value, but when it is raised to the power of something, it is equal to 1. So insecure software to the power of 0 day is equal to owned. And now it's time for my demonstration. So now, in my demonstration, last year, whoever watched my Derbycon video should have known that I did a Java Applet attack where you have to click on the link, and where the user has to click on the link for them to get hacked. And if the user doesn't click on the link, well, then they don't get hacked. And if you're a hacker, your one and only job is to hack the victim with permission, and with or without permission, so that you can hack them. So me and my dad thought, hey, it would be cool if we just redirected the user to a fake website that we control, and they just got hacked without even doing anything or even knowing that they get hacked. So that's what I'm going to be doing for you today. So on my right, I have a Windows box. IT guy.
I want to do it then. Let's just set up the display door.
So right now on my right, I have a Windows board box, and on my left, I have my Kali Linux box. So I'm going to log in. Oh, that's why. Okay, so to start my demo, I'm going to need to clone a website, and I'm going to use the social engineering toolkit. I'm going to do some social engineering attacks. I am going to do a website attack, and I'm going to do a credential harvester attack just to actually clone the website. And if later in the future, if we actually want to harvest their credentials, we can. I'm going to do a site cloner, and I need my IP address so when we harvest the credentials, we can it can post back the credentials to my IP address. So let's check that. My IP address is 192.168.1.57 right here. And today I'm going to clone LinkedIn.com. How many of you have a LinkedIn? Oh well, this is going to be fun. So it's cloning the website. We want to start the process. Yes, we do. And all files have been copied to the var-www folder. So I'm going to exit the social engineering toolkit. No more fun, Dave Kennedy. But I'm going to start the beef-xss, and I'm going to start beef. So I'm going to log into the beef command and control panel, and I'm going to I'm going to inject the beef hook into the clone website code. So I'm going, and if you saw in the social engineering toolkit, it said all files will be copied to the var-www HTML folder right here. So now I'm going to navigate to that folder just to see what's in there. And then, so we have an index.html file. I'm going to open that with LeafPad, and kind of hard to read, but let's see if I can see it. So I'm going to enter before the body just so that I know where I am. Then now over here I'm going to inject the beef hook. I'm just going to go double check and see if that's alright. Okay. And now I just need to close the script. And just for fun, I'm going to say we're going to say hacked by Rockstar. going to so now I'm going to do an ethercap. Now I'm going to start ethercap so that we can DNS spoof it, so that the user won't think that the IP address is suspicious. So I need to change the ether.dns file. So first I need to do chmod to change the ethercap.dns file so that I can read, write, execute it. So now it says that it's read, write, execute privileges. So now I'm going to nano ether.dns. And let's see. So you have to put the website that you want to mask, and then you have to put your IP address so that it will mask it from that. So we're going to clone LinkedIn, so I put that. And now I'm going to start ethercap, and I'm going to do the GUI stuff. I'm going to do sniff, unified sniffing, and we're going to sniff on the network interface Ethernet 0. We're going to scan for all the hosts. We're going to provide the host list, and this is an optional step. I'm going to resolve the IP address so I know which one is my targets. So I'm going to add the router or gateway to 101.1.1, and I'm going to go to Windows Portable, and I'm going to add that to target 2. Now I'm going to go in the plugins, and I'm going to manage the plugins. I'm going to do a TNS spoof, and I'm going to do an ARP poisoning. I'm going to sniff the remote connections, and I'm going to start sniffing. So now, just to double check in the Windows Portable box, I'm going to run command and see if I can ping facebook.com. Huh? Oh, LinkedIn, I meant. Facebook's just so insecure. So it's actually giving me my IP address, so that's good. Now if I go on Google Chrome and actually go to the website, it should go to my clone website. So hey, I'm a user. I want to go to LinkedIn.com. Oh. There you go. Okay. So now I should have gotten a beef hook. Still have that open. Beef control panel. Here, I have a online browser, and before I do anything, I'm going to go to persistence and do man in the browser. I don't know why they call it man in the browser. They should call it kid in the browser. So basically what this does is this module will use man in the browser attack to ensure that the beef hook will stay until the user leaves the domain, manually changing it in the URL bar. So I'm going to execute that, and let's go see what happens. Browser hooked. So now that browser is hooked forever until they close the browser. Then I'm going to go to social engineering, and I'm going to do a fake notification bar, and let's say must install Derbycon plugin. So I execute that. Then if I go to the Windows Portable box, I should see must install Derbycon plugin top. Let's install that plugin. No, I'm joking. So I'm going to go back, and one more thing I'm going to do a Google phishing attack. So if I go back to Windows Portable, it made a fake website and looked like Google. So anyone want to give me their password? After all, it's research purposes. Derbycon will greatly appreciate it. I can't even have a Google Fish account. I'm less than 13 years old, only 9. So I'm gonna use a fake one since nobody took the risk. And that's a long password. It must be really secure. And then I'm going to go back to LinkedIn. And I'm going to credential harvest them, like I said. So let's do the same one. How many of you will bet that it's the same password? Nobody? So I'm going to sign in. And okay, so just for fun, when I said hacked by Rapstar, it did it in black font. So there it goes. There for a second. There you go. So now, before I show you the credentials from the Google Fish, I'm going to go ahead and view the credential harvesters first. So I'm going to go to cd var, because that's where all the credentials were harvested, and then HTML, and then so there's a file, and I'm going to open it up in Nano. There it is, Alice in Blunderland. And just for whoever guessed that it was the same password, it is the same password. Now for all of those who just laughed, you should probably go change your password if you reused it. So that is my demo for you today, and I thought it was pretty awesome. I hope you did. So this is my demo decoded. Is there feed data? Is there feed? Okay. So this is my demo decoded. I cloned a website and I did a social engineering using the social engineering toolkit. I put a beef hook, did a kit in the browser. I did a fake notification. I did a Google Fish attack. I used EtherCap to do an ARP spoofing attack and DNS spoofing. I used a credential harvester to show you that most people reuse their passwords. And I did password disclosure. That's all of those things without even anyone clicking on anything or even realizing that they got hacked. So now, in conclusion, I started a website called CyberShaolin because kids and adults started to write to me and ask me how they could be like me. And I wrote it to show videos about the dangers and defenses of cybersecurity. It's a non-profit organization, so please, if you can, get involved and help volunteer. So this is I did some over the past summer. I worked hard to do 2 things. I worked hard to earn my 2nd degree Kung Fu Black Belt, and I worked hard to making some CyberShaolin video lessons for all of you to see and share and spread the word. So please spread the word and help get CyberShaolin out there. Okay. So in closing thoughts, I want to thank my God Jesus Christ for the gifts He has given me. Without Him, I would be nowhere here. I want to thank my family for all the support that they have given me in helping. My dad did a lot. My mom helped me in even my little brother Ita helped me when with the headphones on. Learn and teach your cyber alphabet. Learn and teach cyber alphabets to your kids, and please help them. This is probably the first time you've heard cybersecurity alphabets, hacker edition, kids style. So my contact information is Reuben@cybershaolin.org or Reuben@prudentgames.com, and my Twitter handle is @rapstar. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this talk.